Welcome to Royalston Wildlife Chronicles. In this episode, we cover the video footage for October 2025. We start at the island Waterhole with this bushbuck doe and her cute youngster. Here you can see that the saddle-backed impala ram has recovered from its injury to its leg. This is a great example of allo-grooming, a social behavior of grooming or cleaning another individual of the same species involving the removal of parasites such as ticks, dirt and dead skin. This behavior strengthens social bonds, establishes hierarchy, reduces conflict and promotes hygiene. Impalas have gaps in their bottom teeth which act as a comb in the removal of the aforesaid. For those of you with keen observational skills, you will have noticed that you don't see many ticks on impalas. Here you see a fallow deer stag starting to grow its antlers, which are shed annually. These Egyptian geese are chasing away another pair of geese. Egyptian geese are highly territorial and will aggressively defend their territory. We were thrilled when Phil and Astra Pretorius sponsored 2 cameras. Their one request was that the one camera be placed at the top of Village 5. The Laws had also requested this, but we hadn't at this stage managed to allocate a camera. Luckily for us, the Pretoriuses and the Laws are neighbours, so we installed the camera between the 2 houses. They both wanted to understand what came up to the houses when darkness hit. It has been amazing how many of the animals do venture up to the top. I do think they enjoy the buffet that residents plant for them. At the LaRue-sponsored camera at the Village 5 Waterhole, the herds made good use of the small waterhole. This zebra felt we had installed this camera just at the right height for an itchy nose. Even now you can observe the water level dropping. This will become more apparent over the coming months. We next move to the fence on the Bushbuck Trail. We're not certain what frightened this waterbuck cow, or maybe she was just doing a training run because she came running back a bit later. It was amazing to see the fallow deer exploring far outside of the areas that we normally see them in. This does seem to be a train and run route for the animals. While walking the trails, if you see the ground dug up, it is not always animals digging for food. Here an Inyala bull appears to dig in the soil. This behavior is called ground horning and is a way he can advertise his presence and show dominance. You have seen the Inyala dance on this channel on a number of occasions, which is another way to show dominance. Here is a stunning sighting of porcupine. Watch carefully and you will see a baby. This Inyala bull is doing his dominance dance. You might be wondering, who is he doing the dance for? Look very carefully and you can just make out the white crest of another bull on the other side of the fence. The Waterbuck cow doing her trail run training again. Here we see a Bushbuck ram doing its ground horning. He is not challenging the Inyala. This is just a nice soft piece of ground that both animals prefer. The genus species are all similar in size, habits, tracks, scat and diets. The term large spotted genet and the small spotted genet refer to the spots on the coat. The easiest way to distinguish between the two is to look at the tip of the tail. The large spotted genet's tip is black and the small spotted genet white. Here you can clearly see the black tip. When we walk the trails, there are times when we see nothing and wonder, where are all the animals? Most of the time it is because they hear us before we can see them. Here a caracal sits and grooms itself. Less than 9 minutes later, this couple walk past, oblivious to what they have just missed. At the forest trail intersection, the usual suspect showed up. We made a decision towards the end of the month to move the camera to the opposite side and lower down. What were the first animals we picked up? A pair of honey badgers and then a caracal. For months we'd wondered why all those exciting sightings had dried up. On an earlier episode we'd wondered whether it was the season. Well, it turns out the camera's PIR sensitivity must have changed, or the salty mist affected it, or maybe the distance was always on its outer limit. Anyway, a number of lessons were learned. Understand the distances, especially for nighttime, and set the camera lower down. We put up the second Pretorius-sponsored camera at the Plains Waterhole. We had a camera here in earlier episodes. The viewpoint is different as a lot of reeds have grown since our earlier recordings. We next moved to the Law-sponsored camera at the bottom of the forest trail. I hope the first thing you looked for here was the black tip of the tail. This Inyala bull had obviously been watching Fashion Week and decided to adorn his horns with appropriate shrubbery. Here are 3 more opportunities to look for that black tip. We were extremely excited when the striped weasel made another appearance. The second camera at the bottom of the forest trail didn't pick up any of the animals such as the large spotted genet. At this stage, we hadn't learnt the lessons from the forest trail intersection camera. We do think that the distance played a part in not picking up the small animals. We moved the camera to 2 different spots on animal trails near the other camera, but didn't have much luck. On a walk on the Wood Owl Trail, we picked up a hole dug by an aardvark. We quickly moved a camera there to see if the aardvark was using it as sleeping quarters. Spoiler alert, the answer was no. This large spotted genet investigated it by going into the burrow. It was exciting to see another sighting of a striped weasel. This warthog came to investigate the hole to see if it was suitable for sleeping quarters. It soon turned its attention to the camera. It dug and tested out the space on a number of occasions. Once again, attention was given to the camera. On numerous occasions we had to pick up the camera and reset it. At the law-sponsored Woodhole Trail camera, the usual suspects appeared. The grass is usually very lush here and the animals find it a great grazing spot. It's always great to see the Bushbuck family with their piglets. This family appears on a number of the cameras. Their range is firmly within the Royalston boundaries. Although mostly nocturnal, this caracal was seen at 9:15 in the morning. The law-sponsored lake camera's position allows us to see the animals moving around the lake. Here we see the Egyptian geese pair have had goslings. We counted and there were 10 goslings. The Luca 1 camera carried on producing spectacular results. Porcupine, caracal, blackback jackal and bushbuck. The porcupine continued to scent mark in the spot. The caracal mother and her kitten passed by in the morning. The kitten has gotten so big it's difficult to tell which of the two passed by in the late afternoon, but on careful scrutiny it appears to be the mother. Luca was tasked with trying to find out about the Royalston blue duiker population, and he took this on with great enthusiasm. The Luca 2 camera was placed near to the camera on the ridge, and we got our first decent footage of a blue duiker. Not only one blue duiker, but he had found us a pair. Watch in the coming months to see how well Luca does in his quest for this rare and very elusive antelope. And so ended an eventful October month.